The Galactic Union had never seen such defiance. The war against humanity was supposed to be over weeks ago. The Xalnari Dominion had brought its full might against the upstart species. Their war fleets had crushed Earth's orbital defenses. Their shock troopers had stormed human colonies and executed their leaders. Their death squads had wiped out any remnants of organized resistance. By all logic, the war should have ended, but it hadn't. Fleet Commander Viral of the Xalnari Dominion watched the battlefield unfold from his warship's command deck, his mandibles twitching in irritation. Before him, a holomap displayed the crimson ruins of Mars, one of humanity's last strongholds. By now, the humans should have surrendered, their species broken like so many before them. And yet, they refused. They should not still be fighting, Viral muttered. His second-in-command, Captain Xyrek, stood beside him, his forearms clasped behind his back. Agreed, my lord. Our reports indicate that over 90% of their forces have been annihilated. Their military infrastructure is gone. Their homeworld is nothing but ash. Then why do they still resist? Xyrek hesitated, his spines flexing. We do not know. Every other species we have conquered reached a breaking point. Once their fleets were shattered, once their leaders were executed, they submitted. But the humans, they are different. Viral turned back to the holomap, where red indicators, human forces, still flickered across the battlefield. Outnumbered, outgunned, outmatched, but still fighting. Then we will end them, Viral growled. Send in the extermination units, wipe them out. 2. The human response. On the surface of Mars, General Aiden Cole surveyed the battlefield from the ruins of an old colony outpost. The sky burned red, alien warships blotting out the sun. The ground trembled with the march of Xalnari war machines. The air was thick with smoke, dust, and the stench of death. Humanity was losing, but they were not done. Sir, we're completely outnumbered, Major Daniels said, panting. His uniform was tattered, his face smeared with blood, some his own, some not. We have no reinforcements coming. Fleet Command is gone. Earth is gone. The words should have crushed Aiden, but they didn't. Instead, a strange clarity settled over him. Yes, Earth was gone. Yes, the war had been lost on paper. But humans were not like other species. The Xalnari expected them to surrender. They thought war was about numbers, resources, and superior firepower. They were wrong. War was about will. And humans had more of that than anyone. Aiden activated his comlink, broadcasting to all remaining forces. His voice, rough but unwavering, echoed across every battlefield. This is General Cole. Listen to me carefully. The Xalnari think they've won. They think this is over. They think we'll break like every species before us. But they don't know who we are. We are humanity. We don't surrender. We fight. And when they push us to the brink, that's when we hit back hardest. Across Mars, battered human soldiers lifted their heads. Bloodied pilots gritted their teeth. Resistance fighters, civilians, and remnants of old battalions grabbed weapons. The message was clear. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. 3. The last charge. When the Xalnari landed on Mars, they expected an easy victory. Their war machines advanced, towering bipedal walkers crushing debris underfoot. Armored transports unloaded battalions of bio-enhanced soldiers, each clad in plasma-resistant armor. It should have been a massacre. Instead, it was a bloodbath for the Xalnari. The humans attacked with reckless abandon. They stormed forward like berserkers, howling in defiance. Soldiers with empty rifles charged headfirst, using their weapons as clubs. Wounded fighters crawled toward enemy tanks, pulling the pins on grenades. Engineers strapped explosives to their own bodies and ran into towering alien walkers. It was madness. Why are they doing this? Xyrek hissed, watching the battle unfold. They should be running. But they weren't running. They were winning. 4. The turning point. The Xalnari had always prided themselves on their military discipline. They'd fought with precision, logic, and efficiency. The humans? They fought with rage, desperation, and a terrifying refusal to die. Salnary formations crumbled. Their elite warriors, trained for centuries, found themselves overwhelmed. Their war machines fell, torn apart by human swarms. And then, something worse happened. Across the galaxy, human resistance cells heard what was happening on Mars. Stories of human defiance spread. Colonies that had once been beaten into submission rose up. Captured ships revolted. Underground bases launched counterattacks. The war that should have ended had reignited, and this time, humanity was on the offensive. 5. The fear of the Xalnari. Viral watched the reports in horror. This is impossible, he muttered. His claws tightened against the command table. We should have crushed them. Styrex swallowed hard. Sir, we did crush them, and yet they are still fighting. The High Command was in panic. The Xalnari Dominion, once the most feared force in the galaxy, was losing. Not because humanity had superior weapons, not because they had more soldiers, but because they had something the Xalnari didn't, a refusal to break. For every human killed, 5 more took their place. For every city destroyed, 1,000 more rebels rose from the ruins. This is a nightmare, Viral whispered. Cyrika exhaled. Sir, if we don't stop this now, we won't survive. Viral hesitated. He had never, in his long career, uttered the words he was about to say. Send a message to the Galactic Union, he said at last. Tell them we wish to discuss terms. Zurich's eyes widened. You mean? Yes, Viral growled. We must sue for peace. 6. Humanity's legacy. The Galactic Union had 2 choices. Continue the war and risk total annihilation. Negotiate with the species that had rewritten the rules of combat. They chose the latter. Humanity had lost its homeworld, but it had gained something greater, respect. The message was clear. If you ever fight humans, never assume victory, because the harder you hit them, the harder they fight back, and they never stop.